Hey guys, Dalek44 here. I need no introduction, but I got one anyway. Who here doesn't love steam locomotives? It should come as no surprise by now that steam locomotives are one of my all-time favourite things. Having visited many heritage steam railways in the UK, had 5 train rides on the Flying Scotsman from various locations, gone to various museums including the National Railway Museum in York, and of course my childhood of watching Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. So it's pretty obvious by now that steam trains have been a huge part of my childhood, and my adult years. And the most recent steam locomotive to grace our TV screens was this brave little guy. The Brave Locomotive is a 2023 American independent animated short film by Academy Award nominated Disney animator Andrew Chesworth. It was released to film festivals for Oscar qualification before airing on YouTube, and has gained a huge following from many of the viewers who watched it. So much so that it even got its own merchandise website, where you could buy t-shirts, caps and various other merchandise based on the film. Link in the description below. But can it really capture that same magic and imagination that Disney City Symphonies did back in the old days? Let's take a look. The short follows the life of Linus, a small 240 steam locomotive that works on the Trailway Railroad in the western United States in the late 1890s, with his engineer and good friend Henry. Their job is to take passengers to and from locations and through the mountains and a small town called Collinerville. At the end of one journey, Baron von Capital, who has recently purchased the Trailway Railroad and merged it with his own Von Capital Railroad, announces to Henry that changes are being made to improve the railroad. He introduces Samson, a large 484 Northern type steam locomotive that is to replace Linus. Henry is assigned as Samson's engineer, while Linus is resigned to work at the lumber mill, controlled by the evil and stern logging manager. Samson soon takes over running the railroad's passenger trains, quickly improving travel time thanks to his speed and the new wooden trestle bridge built over the large canyon. Linus sadly watches Samson work as he is forced by Whip to haul heavy lumber trains across the mountain. Due to the speed at which Samson moves, Collinerville soon expands into a major town, but this soon causes extra stress on the bridge, which was built too quickly to accommodate him. While passing over the bridge one day, Samson's speed causes part of it to break, leaving him dangling dangerously over the chasm. Henry whistles for help, which is heard by Linus. He quickly breaks free from his chains and rushes off to help, taking a bullet from the logging manager's gun in the process. Linus is able to get the coaches to safety, but Samson's tender disconnects in the process, leaving him, Henry, Von Capital and his daughter Katrina stranded. Linus goes back to save them, but struggles to pull Samson to safety. Henry and Katrina begin shoveling coal into Linus's firebots, giving him enough strength to pull Samson just as the bridge begins to collapse. The strain causes Linus's boiler to explode just as they reach safety, leaving him a charred wreck. Henry and others mourn as Linus's spirit flies into heaven. However, Linus soon finds himself in a railroad workshop. Henry, his wife Scarlett, Katrina and other passengers work together to restore him to full working order. Linus is hailed a hero for his efforts and given his old job back, while a grateful Samson is resigned to haul lumber. Years later, possibly 1946, the bridge has been replaced with a steel and concrete one. The Baron has passed away and modern trains now run the line. Linus runs a tourist railway on his old line, with a now elderly Henry and his wife acting as his engineers. Having watched The Brave Locomotive myself recently, I can honestly say that this is one of the best animated shorts that I've seen in a long time. This short was a runaway success when it was first released on YouTube and at the Academy Awards, being nominated for Best Animation at the LA Shorts Film Festival and winning the award. And having watched it myself, I can see why it won that award. The animation is just so stunning and the story is easy to follow. You can definitely tell that Chesworth got a lot of inspiration from Disney, which makes sense since he used to work at Disney, being an animator on Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, Get a Horse, Big Hero 6, Feast, Zootopia and Moana, while working independently on his passion projects including The Brave Locomotive. First conceived in 2008, he released online in 2015 the opening sequence that was in progress before shelving it after being hired by Disney in 2011. Andrew's inspiration for his 2023 short was from old school Disney classics back when Walt Disney was alive that Andrew grew up watching, like Dumbo from 1941, Make Mine Music from 1946, Little Toot from Melody Time in 1948, and The Brave Engineer from 1950. And the Dollies whose son and narrated the short is based on the Andrews sisters from Disney's Make Mine Music and Little Toot from Melody Time, and Dinah Shore who sang Bongo from Disney's Fun and Fancy Free. And those two vultures that perch themselves on that point of no return sign always put me in mind of those two vultures from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs that loom over the evil queen before she dies. It's just a fun little nod to Disney's first ever full-length feature film. The short seems to take a lot of inspiration from Disney's classic Silly Symphonies cartoons, which explains the lack of dialogue and a lot of musical elements, which is something that Silly Symphonies was famous for back in the day. And this short manages to bring back the magic of those classics. Having watched the short and reading up on the history of the animator, it seems like he was making this as a tribute to Walt Disney himself, not just for the company that he founded all those years ago, but also because the man was a steam locomotive enthusiast, having been proved by many photographs of the guy in steam locomotive cabs, as well as having a steam locomotive in operation at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom as part of the park. Not to mention the amount of times a steam locomotive made an appearance in old Disney cartoons when Walt was alive, so you can really tell how much Walt Disney loved steam locomotives back in the day. And this short film is perfect for the steam locomotive lovers and rail enthusiasts in general. And the designs for Linus and Samson the steam locomotives are just really impressive to me. The first time I looked at the main character for this short, he immediately put me in mind of Tilly from The Little Engine That Could, and Casey Jr. from Dumbo. It's almost like I was watching a combination of both locomotives, with Tilly's blue colour scheme and the initial design for Casey Jr. from Dumbo. So it's like a mix and match of two characters. And Samson just looks really impressive as well. The animators did a great job at capturing the classic American steam locomotive design from those days, making him look big and intimidating. And I love the fact that he smokes a cigar, which is an old-fashioned cliche for a lot of villains at the time. And it references to the fact that a lot of people used to smoke back in those days. It was common for people to smoke back then, and this is just a great demonstration of that. The short also does a great job of teaching kids a valuable lesson. That lesson being is if it ain't broke, don't fix it or try to replace it. It's also worth pointing out that the film was released in the same year that Disney officially turned 100, 2023. And while many have pointed out that Once Upon a Studio is an awesome short from Disney Company, and I have to agree with them, which is the best tribute to Disney's 100 years, while Wish on the other hand didn't get the great audience reactions that Disney was hoping for, with mixed reviews. Many have said that The Brave Locomotive is the real true 100th anniversary tribute that is truly Disney magic. And with good reason, since the whole short seems like you're watching an old cartoon from the Silly Symphony shorts from the 1930s and 40s. This short is just a great tribute to Walt Disney and everything that the studio was famous for back in the days. So in my opinion, The Brave Locomotive is a fun animated short with a lot of heart, a lot of great animation, great music and some great characters. It's definitely one for a lover of animation and steam locomotives. It's one that could be enjoyed by everyone of all ages. And being a train lover, I could definitely say that The Brave Locomotive is definitely a great short for anyone who loves Walt Disney classics and steam locomotives in general. It's a fun short with a great story, some dramatic moments, some funny moments, and great animation. And a story that's being told through very little dialogue and a couple of songs. Which is very much like how the Silly Symphonies used to work. Some having regular dialogue, some having songs, and some having no dialogue whatsoever. So it's a fun tribute to Disney's Silly Symphonies cartoons and the Walt Disney Company as a whole. And if you haven't seen this classic short yet, I highly recommend checking it out if you love Disney, animation, and trains in general. You'll have a fun time watching this, and it's just got such gorgeous animation that I could watch it for hours on end. It's definitely worth a watch. I'm Dalek44, and I'll see you next time, folks. look at the little locomotive in this short, it always puts me in mind of Tilly from The Little Engine That Could, and... I'm gonna get the words out eventually. Oh.